Hey, it's Dave. Welcome to my channel, My Yard Sale. Today's March 19th, and I wanted to drop in and add this post. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Hopefully it's going to be a nice weekend for everybody. I think it's going to be nice where I live. Finally, it'll be not freezing, which will be good. I'll be happy about that. So today I want to do a quick health update, my health. I have been pre-diabetic and diabetic for probably many years. And in the last, 6 months, I can finally feel the bone mass and the muscle mass in my body starting to grow. And I'm actually gaining some weight again, which I know that's not exciting for a lot of people to gain weight. But for me, it's exciting because I'm 6 foot tall and I weighed 100 pounds last year. It was terrifying. So gaining weight back is important. And the good news is I'm not gaining it as fat, cellulose. I'm gaining weight as muscle and bone mass. So hopefully I'll be able to get past this whole thing and on to the next steps. So I know that I was losing bone mass and muscle strength because of diabetes and prediabetes and just my general metabolic health, because I kept getting skinnier and skinnier, and the skinnier I got, the weaker I got. I could barely stand up and walk away from the chair I'm sitting in. It was almost impossible. So now I'm happy that I'm actually starting to add weight back a little bit. I'm starting to have enough strength to get up and walk away from the chair I'm sitting in. I'm still missing some of that coordination that I'm hoping the regrowing nerves that are growing in my body and reconnecting things. I'm hoping that those reconnections are going to get me back that dexterity and cat-like reflexes that I used to have that I no longer have. So anyways, my point here is that I am hoping at this point that I've moved past the diabetes, weight, skinny diabetes, the weight loss, and I'm hopefully going to start gaining some weight back. And I'll be definitely gaining it back in the form of muscle, because it's like everything I do feels like it wears me out. Even if I walk around my house for too long, I'm worn out. It's really weird because I talked about these snapping noises in my bones for the last couple of weeks. Now I can literally feel, like in my spine, I can feel it so tense. And I feel like, I don't know if it's the nerves or the muscle, it's probably the nerves, because it feels like the muscles are already coming back now that I'm not diabetic or pre-diabetic anymore. So I feel like maybe this is the nerves growing back. Hey, if you have any questions on what I'm talking about, do me a favor and leave it below. Because if I can help anybody avoid what I'm dealing with, or at least have some kind of answer to what they're dealing with, I feel like that would be a huge success for me here. Because I got to be honest, this is not an impossible cycle, but it is extremely difficult. It makes life difficult. It makes just waking up in the day, it makes everything difficult. Like I try to work, and just doing spreadsheets is impossible when you can't use your finger right, your eyes don't work right. I'm trying to add content into like a tiny little field on a spreadsheet. It's impossible. It's very difficult. And if I can try to help some people try to avoid this, I would hope to do that. Anyways, if you think this is an interesting post, or if there's anything in here that sounds kind of interesting, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up. And if you aren't subscribed, do me a favor and subscribe. I'll be telling more of my story and hopefully sharing some good news. So today is good news. I do feel like my diabetes and prediabetes is gone. I feel like I've reversed that. And what's reversing now is I think my nerves are regrowing. And it's very strange because I'll get like a weird, it's not a flare up, but it's like an awkward or weird feeling in my feet or in my hands. And it's not something I can explain. It's not like a bug bite or it's nothing like that. It's just a weird itch or a weird tingle. And I'm like thinking, what the heck is that? And the other thing is, you know what? My feet get so cold and then so hot. And it's hard to tell whether it's going to be hot or cold that day or that night. Sometimes I think it has to do with what I'm eating. I'm not totally sure, but that's what it feels like. So that's interesting. That whole thing that I had with hot hands a while back where it felt like my hands would be like on fire. I felt like I can't remember that superhero, but where could turn his hands on fire. I feel like that's what it feels like, which is the Human Torch. I can't remember the other one. I can't remember the superhero that had the skull, and he had like flames on his skull, and he rode the motorcycle. I don't remember what his name was, but that's what I feel like when I lay in bed sometimes at night. It feels like my hands are on fire. And then yeah, it's really weird because I take all the blankets off of my bed except for like one blanket because I have to have a blanket. I live in the Northeast and it's cold. So I take all the blankets, take my socks off, and get down to one blanket. And then somehow 3 hours later, I'm freezing to death and I have to get back up and pile all the blankets back on to warm up. It's very strange. Can't explain it. I don't think there's any way to get past this much faster. I have been watching a lot of videos about supplements for nerves, and I think I've talked enough about magnesium on this channel. I don't need to talk any more about that. I don't necessarily feel like that's the absolute right thing for me specifically, but I do feel like there's a need of a certain level of magnesium in the human body that if you're not getting it through food or whatever, you kind of do need to supplement it. There's, I don't know, a bunch of supplements that are good for that. Like I think calcium, you need a lot. You need calcium. You obviously need protein. You don't need fiber, but protein and some of these other nutrients are pretty important. Anyways, if you have any questions, do me a favor and boink, leave it below. I'd be more than happy to answer. I'll answer any questions on what I'm going through or what I'm dealing with, and even what my thoughts are. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical specialist. I'm just a guy that's made some pretty terrible decisions, and now I'm having to deal with it. And I'm trying to share it with all of you folks, all of the people on YouTube, so that people can hopefully avoid what I've had to go through, and what I know that there's other people that follow this channel that go through. It's extremely difficult, and if we all work together, we can try to figure this out and get past this. It's not as easy as eating carnivore or just eating ketovore. It's not that easy. It has to do with the kind of stuff you eat, what you eat, how much you eat, and sometimes I guess even when you eat. The food is definitely a situation. That's definitely the biggest part of it. But then there's exercise, and the hardest part is reversing all this damage that gets done. Reversing an A1C is pretty easy, but all the damage beyond the A1C is the hard part. When you start getting nerve damages, and you have neuropathy or retinopathy, like that is when you kind of need those nutrients or those supplements to make sure you have the right stuff to rebuild. Otherwise, I mean, I think that the body would eventually rebuild eating correctly, but I think it would just take a million times longer than it should. Anyways, I hope this is an interesting post, and I hope somebody can take some benefit out of it. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.